Hello, everybody. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you all very much for joining us from all around the world. I was reading through some of the comments. Thank you to all of you who've introduced yourselves. Thank you to everybody else for joining us today for our online Discover Day at University of Toronto, Mississauga. My name is Connor Savory, and I am a student recruitment officer here at U of T Mississauga. And I'm also joined today by a few of my friends and colleagues, some of whom you see on screen. So I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves, starting with my friend Amy, who is a current UTM student.
Hi guys, my name is Amy. I'm in my fourth year. I'm a biology and health science student, and I'm a student ambassador here at the Student Recruitment and Admissions Office.
And to Michael, who is the manager of our communications team.
Hi everyone, welcome. I'm looking at the chat as well, and holy cow, it is late where all of you are. So thank you so much for joining. Like Connor said, I'm the communications manager here at Student Recruitment and Communications, or Student Recruitment Admissions. My apologies. I'm actually going to be moderating the chat in the background. So if you have questions during the stream, throw them into the chat, and my colleagues Hiji and Neha are here as well behind the scenes. We're going to be answering your questions behind the scenes, and at the end of the presentations, we're going to come back up and we're going to put the questions out to Connor and Amy to answer live. So thanks very much. Back to you, Connor.
Perfect. Thank you very much. You took the words just out of my mouth. So to give you folks a bit of an overview of what this evening or morning is going to look like, depending on where in the world you're joining us from, I'm going to give you folks a brief refresher on the University of Toronto, Mississauga, just introducing you folks to what we have to offer to you. And then after that, I'm going to hand the presentation over to Amy. As I said, Amy is a current student here at UTM. She's going to give you a virtual tour of the campus, teaching you a little bit more about our school and talking about her experiences here as a UTM student. As Michael said, we're joined today in the chat by two of our student staff. We have Neha and Hiji. So they'll both be there in the chat helping answer any questions. If you have any questions over the course of the presentation, please don't hesitate to share them in the comments. And then at the end of the presentation, I will be coming back on screen, and so will Michael, and we will be taking some of those questions live. Now, before beginning, we like to acknowledge the land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on this land today. Now, as all of you know, the University of Toronto is one university with three campuses, meaning that when you apply to U of T, you have three separate learning environments to choose between. All three of our campuses has something unique to offer, but the important thing for all of you to know right now is that from all three of our locations, you'll be getting the same world-class education and graduating with the exact same University of Toronto degree. Now, our Mississauga campus is located in Mississauga, Ontario, just 30 minutes to the west of Toronto. This community is home to over 15,000 undergraduate students, and you'll find them studying anything in the arts, the sciences, or business. As an applicant to UTM, you all have chosen between one of 12 different admission categories, and these admission categories can lead you into over 180 different program options across 18 different academic departments. What this means for you is that you have a wealth of options and opportunities to choose between. Now, the University of Toronto has a lot to offer students, and in particular our Mississauga campus, I might add. And consequently, students choose to study with us for a wide variety of different reasons. Now, as you can see from this slide, these are just a few of the things that you might want to be considering as you begin to think about where it is that you'd like to continue on your academic journey. First and foremost, at UTM, you'll be getting the same outstanding University of Toronto education, which is recognized all around the world for its excellence, and you'll be taught by world-renowned professors and faculty who come from across the globe just to teach at our institution. As the University of Toronto Mississauga student, you'll also be studying at an innovative, contemporary, green campus surrounded by protected woodlands situated on the banks of the beautiful Credit River. One of my favorite things about the U of T Mississauga campus is that rather than expanding our campus outwards, we've continued to repurpose space on the existing footprint of campus, meaning that even as our community grows and grows and grows, our campus remains highly walkable, and all of that beautiful green space and nature around us is protected and preserved for your enjoyment. UTM is also home to a variety of unique and dynamic programs, including the premier forensic science program in Canada, the theater and drama studies program that we offer jointly with Sheridan College, and our communications, culture, and information technology program. All three of these programs unique just to the U of T Mississauga campus. And when you come to UTM, you don't just become a student here, but you really become a part of our community. With that comes a wealth of opportunities for you to get involved, to build relationships, and to make a tangible difference within your community, as well as a wide abundance of supports in place which are designed to meet you where you are, supporting your transition from high school into university and ensuring both your academic and professional success and your well-being, both as a student and beyond. And finally, thanks in part to all of this, we attract students from all across the globe. With students from over 110 different countries around the world, we have a truly global community here, and we're extremely proud to have this opportunity to nurture cultural diversity and build what we call global fluency. Now, as all of you can probably tell, I can go on and on and on about all of the things that make our campus and our institution great. But luckily, today we have the incredible fortune of being joined by one of our current students. So with that, I'm going to call Amy back on the screen. There she is. And I'm going to invite her to give us a virtual tour of the UTM campus and talk a little bit more about our school and about her experiences here as a student.
All right, thank you, Connor. So I will get started on the campus tour today. So just to introduce myself, my name is Amy. I am a fourth-year student. I'm studying biology for health science, and I'm also taking a minor in chemistry and biomedical communications. I am a community engagement student ambassador. Some of the things that I like to do outside of my academics is engage in child work and hairstyling and aesthetics. And the reason why I chose UTM was because it was a smaller community compared to the St. George campus. And I liked the location because I wanted to be closer to home. And so my house is not very far from UTM. It's just about like 20 minutes. So yeah, that's a bit about me. So our first building is the Kneff Center and Innovation Complex. All right, so the Kneff Center and Innovation Complex is home to our Institute of Management and Innovation with departments of management and economics. So there's lecture halls here in this building, and the main lecture hall that's in the first floor is 137. We also have what's called the Blackwood Gallery here, and this area features curated exhibitions from local and international artists. So we have two offices here held in the Kneff Center. So we have the Student Recruitment and Admissions Office. That's me in the picture right there. So this is the area that is the main point of contact for prospective students. So we have representatives here based in this office that helps students with their decision making and just to make sure that their application process runs smoothly. We also have another office called the Office of Registrar. So this is the main point of contact for students that are already enrolled in UTM. And so we help with academic advising. So you can choose whether to do an in-person meeting, you can do an online meeting, and you can also do a phone call meeting. And they also have financial advising here based in this office. So what's really cool about UTM is that we have a lot of tunnels. And so if this was in person, we'd take the tunnel to the next building. And the tunnel, I always use the tunnel because it's so convenient. And I'm very sensitive to the cold and I don't like walking outside in the cold. So I always make use of these tunnels. So we would take the tunnel from this building to what's called the William G. Davis building, which is our next building. So the William G. Davis Building is also known as the Davis Building. It's our largest academic space here at UTM, and it's home to many of the science programs. So it's home to anthropology, biology, chemistry, physics, and earth science. We have the bookstore here at the William G. Davis Building, and this is where students are able to buy their textbooks. So they can either rent their textbooks, they can either buy the full copy, or they can buy the online version. So they would just buy the code. This is also where students can buy their supplies, so like binders, papers, books, pencils. And this is also where students buy merchandise. And they also have an online store, which is also convenient. So if you don't want to visit the physical store, you can shop online at the U of T bookstore, and you can get that straight shipped to you. Personally, this is where I've gotten all of my U of T gear, and this is also where I bought all of my first year textbooks. I like to go to the physical shop because they always have sales throughout the year, which is very nice. So our next place is the Health and Counseling Center, which is the HCC. So this is the area that provides medical and mental health services to our students. So students can book appointments online with their doctors and nurses. And they also have wellness programs throughout the year just to promote a healthy lifestyle. We also have the Davis Food Court. So the Davis Food Court is actually the largest food court here on campus. And we offer a variety of foods such as halal, gluten-free, vegan, and vegetarian. So what you're seeing here in the picture is Thai Express. So I'm always going to Thai Express. I always order one thing, which is General Thai chicken. And I usually order that as my lunch or between my classes. And then I usually go to Tim Hortons, which is also in this area, and I use that for my breakfast. So some of the ingredients are actually grown on campus, which is really cool. So we have a beehive, which is on the instructional center, and students can actually purchase honey that's made by the bees in this area. We also have farm walls as well, which is in Oscar Peterson Hall, which is one of our residence buildings. So we also have what's called the campus safety. So the campus safety office is in the 3rd floor of the Davis building. And the safety team basically just paroles the school just to make sure all of the students are safe. And they offer what's called a Walk Safe program, which is really nice. So the Walk Safe program that they offer is where students are actually able to request to have a police officer escort them to anywhere they'd like on campus. So the example that I like to choose is if a student is, for example, studying on campus late at night and they need to go to the bus stop to get back home, they could actually call campus safety and they can ask for a police officer to escort them there if they feel unsafe because it's dark outside. We also have the Career Center. So the Career Center has many services. So they offer one-on-one career counseling, and they also offer employment strategy appointments. They manage what's called the CLNX website. So this website displays employment and volunteer opportunities on U of T and off of U of T for students. And what's really nice is that graduates of U of T can actually still access this website 2 years after their graduation. So I actually use this website to get this job and for my other job. So I was able to get 2 jobs on campus using this website. We have what's called the Center for Student Engagement. So the Center for Student Engagement offers programs, services, and resources to get students involved on campus and to help them make friends. So some of the programs that they have are the Eagle Connect, which is a summer program to prepare first-year students. And they also have what's called Launch, which is also a transition program to help students prepare for the first year. So this office manages what's called the co-curricular record, also known as CCR. So this is an official U of T transcript, which captures a student's out of the classroom activities, and it can be used to apply for scholarships, bursaries, and on-campus jobs. So in this picture, one of my best friends, she's on the left, she works here at the Center for Student Engagement. And as you can see, there's a lot of jobs offered at UTM for you to join if you'd like during your undergraduate degree. Now we have the International Educational Center, also known as IEC. So this is a hub for international students, but also for UTM students that want to develop in their global fluency. So they offer things like immigration support, learning abroad opportunities, and cultural programming. We also have our science labs here in the Davis building. So this is where the science students would have their practical sections. So practical sections are different from your traditional lecture classes, and they're more smaller. So they're around 30 to 24 to 30 students. And so it provides more of an intimate learning space. So on the first floor of our science labs, we have anthropology, we have biology, we have earth sciences. And on the second floor, we have biology, chemistry, and physics. So just a little fun fact, it actually costed the school $13 million to renovate these science labs. And so these labs provide state-of-the-art and modern technology. So as a science student myself, I spent a lot of time in this area, and it really helped me socially and academically. So I met a lot of my best friends during these lab sections, and I feel like it's really a break towards the traditional lecture format, and you're able to carry out like cool experiments based on the theory that you learned in your class. So it provides more of like an intimate and small learning setting, and it gives you more confidence to ask questions because it's not as intimidating as in your lecture halls where there's a lot of students. So I think this is really helpful for students for you to engage in the material more and just meet new people and open up more. Next, we have the Recreation, Athletics, and Wellness Center. All right, so this is the Recreation, Athletics, and Wellness Center, also known as the ROC. So the ROC is a full athletics facility available to all UTM students. So some services that they offer here. So they offer personal training sessions, program drop-ins, women-only gym hours, and other classes such as Zumba and yoga. And some facilities that they offer are the indoor track, which wraps around the entire area. They also have a swimming pool, 2 gyms, and a weights facilities room. So I always like to encourage students to use the gym because it's already included in your fees. So it's really useful for you to use, and it's also convenient because it's where all your classes are or near your classes since it's on campus. And we have 2 gyms. So we have gym A, B, and we also have gym C. So in these gyms, of course, this is where we have our school sports teams running. My friend Sona, she was on the basketball team. She's on the left here in this picture. She was on the basketball team, on the varsity team for a couple of years. And I always used to go to gym A, B specifically to watch her games, which is always nice. Some other programs that are offered here are skating, and they also have professional events happening here. So I remember last year they had a career fair here, and they usually just like slightly renovate the area to change the setting so that skating can happen and other programs. And also in these gyms is where we have our exams as well. So during exam season, these gyms are filled with desks and students can come here and take their exams. Next up, we have the Communication, Culture, and Technology Building, also known as CCT. So the CCT is home to the Communication, Culture, Information, and Technology Building, also known as CCIT, and it holds the largest lecture hall in our campus. So it holds around 500 students, and they also have higher floors that have smaller classrooms, and they also have computer labs as well. So one thing in this building is the Multimedia Studio Theater, which is also known as the MIST Theater. And this is mainly used by the theater and drama studies students that want to practice their performances. So this is where they would practice their performances. We also have the UTM Service Desk, also known as the IT Desk. So this is actually the first place that I went to when I first visited UTM, because this is where they process your student cards. So this is where you would get your picture taken, etc. And they also help with any of the technology related issues that you may have. So you're actually able to bring in your own technology, like your phone or your computer, your laptop that has any issues. You're able to bring that to the desk and they can help you with any issues you have with that. We are now on to the Hazel McCallion Academic Learning Center. So the Hazel McCallion Academic Learning Center holds our school library. So in our school library, we have our research desk. So the research desk has research specialists sitting there, and they're based there, and they're to help students with any of their assignments that have to do with research. So if students are having a hard time finding something specific, they can just go to the library. They don't have to book an appointment. It's just a walk-in area where you can have help with any of your research assignments. They also have the main desk of the library. So the main desk of the library is where you'd sign out your books. And what's really nice is that if you don't find your book here at our library, you can actually request to have them look for your book in the other campuses. And if they have it there, they can actually mail it to our campus, and they would notify you via email that your book has arrived, and you can pick it up there. And you can also sign out laptops, chargers, headphones, and calculators at 5 hours at a time, and you can renew it. So that's really, really convenient. So there's a lot of resources here. And if you forget something at home, the library is your go-to place to sign out anything. For example, if you forget your calculator and you have a test, you can go to the library and sign that out. Fun fact, U of T actually has 44 libraries in total. So that makes U of T the third largest library system in North America. So the library is one of my favorite places to study because you can book out rooms, and it's just more convenient because you have everything there. Like if you need a laptop, if I don't have my charger, I can sign out a laptop, which is I can just use the elevator, go down below and sign that out. And so this is a picture of me and my friend in the study room. We always book in the library every single week, and it's just very convenient. Our next building is the Instructional Center, also known as IB. All right, so the Instructional Center, also known as the IB building, is not home to any department. However, it is one of our busiest buildings, along with the William G. Davis building, and it holds lecture halls. So the two main lecture halls are on the first floor. They're called 120 and 110. And they also have lecture halls on the higher floors, but they're smaller scale lecture halls. We also have our food court here. So this food court features Subway, Bento Sushi, and Casada. Right outside of this building, we have what's called the shuttle bus system. So the shuttle bus system is a system that takes students straight from the Mississauga campus to the St. George campus. So this takes around 40 to an hour and 20 minutes, depending on the traffic. So this service is included in the incidental fee. So I always encourage students to use this as well. And what you would have to do is just show the bus driver your student card, and you'd be able to get it for free. If you do not have your student card, if you left your student card at home, you'd have to pay a fee of $7. So they have their own online system with their departure times and their arrival times. And usually students would use this, for example, if they have a class in St. George. But what's really nice about this system is that you don't need a specific reason to use it. If you just want to visit a friend in downtown Toronto, or if you want to go to an event downtown, you can use the shuttle bus system for free in that case. So during the holidays, me and my friends always go down to the Toronto Christmas market every year, and we use the shuttle bus system, and that's really nice. And we'll now move on to Manjaway and Dam Awinan. All right, so Manjaway and Dam Awinan, also known as the MN building. This name means gathering of minds, and it's an indigenous name. So we named it that to acknowledge the indigenous land on which our school is built on. And it's actually the newest building on our campus. So it was built in 2018. And it's a quite large building, so it has 6 floors. And I would say this building is probably the most popular building amongst the students when it comes to booking rooms, because the rooms are very new and aesthetically pleasing. So it's very popular on campus. Some of the services offered here is a place called the Robert Gillespie Academic Skills Center. So the Robert Galifsey Academic Skills Center offers one-on-one appointments. So it helps with writing, math, reading, and more general skills such as time management and test preparation. So when I was in my first year, I made use of this center, specifically their program called the Facilitated Study Groups, also known as FSGs. And in this center, we basically would work with other students and students, upper year students that also took the same courses that we're working on to work through practice problems that are based on UTM courses specifically. So it's really geared to the courses that you're taking instead of it being like more general subject areas. It's based on specific courses that you have taken or that you're currently taking. So I use this for my first year calculus. I also use this for biology. And I really encourage students to use this resource as well, because it's actually statistically proven that students that partake in this group do better on average than students that don't. Next, we have our Deerfield Hall. Okay, so Deerfield Hall was a name that was suggested by an employee of UTM to honor the deer that roam around our campus. So this building is home to the theater and drama studies, psychology, computer science, mathematics, and statistics. So one resource that's here is the Math Learning Center, which is located on the second floor. So this is a walk-in center, so you don't need an appointment to go. And this is to help students with any of the math courses that they're taking currently. We also have a Starbucks located in this building, and Starbucks is very, very popular on campus as well. We also have what's called the Arundel Studio Theater, which is outside of Deerfield Hall. And this theater is used by the theater and drama study students. And this is where they would have their shows. So this is one of the images that's taken from their shows, and the shows that they display happen throughout the entire year, and they actually allow outside individuals to partake in the show, watch the show, and they also allow UTM students to also watch the show as well. We'll now move on to the Student Center. All right, so the Student Center is the only building on campus that is only ran by students, which is really cool. This is also where our student union is based in. So they're called the University of Toronto Mississauga Student Union, also known as the UTMSU. And so this group advocates for students' rights, and they also ensure that students have access to the full range of programs and services offered at UTM. They also are the ones that created the U passes. So they distribute the U passes, which is available to all UTM students. And it's basically a pass that allows you to take the My Way transit anywhere in Mississauga, which is really nice. I use that every single day to go from my house to campus. Next, we have, or lastly, we have our residence buildings. So residence has a guaranteed placement for first-year students, and residence is extremely convenient. So when you're living on residence, it's really easy to get to your classes. Even if you want to take a break in between your classes, you can go to your room. So I think it's really convenient, and it also helps with the integration of university students into that student life. So I lived on residence when I was in first year. I also lived on residence when I was in third year as well. And in first year, it was wonderful. It was very, very convenient. You're given a dawn. So you're delegated a dawn, and your dawn is to help you with your transition into university. They direct you to different resources, and they also act as your mentor. You're also delegated what's called a residence education facilitator. So they're called refs, and they basically help you build great study habits for your classes. On residence, you're also given a meal plan, and you also are given the opportunity to engage with your community with weekly activities and meetings with your community that's located on your floor. So that concludes the UTM virtual tour. Thank you everyone for listening, and I will pass it on to Connor and Michael.
Amy, thank you very much. Fantastic presentation. Thank you very much for sharing your experiences, showing us around. Amy and I are going to be sticking around on screen. I'm going to hand things over to Michael. He's been keeping a close eye on the chat. So we're going to take some of your questions live. I'm going to answer some. Amy's going to answer some. If anyone has any more questions, please keep them coming, and we are happy to help however we can.
Yeah, great job, Amy. One of the things we were talking about in the chat, there was so much mention of food and food courts and stuff. All of us were getting really hungry. This is not an official question. No one asked this, but I'm actually just curious myself. Do you have like a favorite spot on campus that you like to order food from?
Yes, for sure. It's Thai Express, hands down.
That's why that picture was there.
Exactly. So Thai Express, I would say number 1, Thai Express. Number 2, Tim Hortons. Number 3, Pizza.
Okay.
Yeah.
Classic. Connor, do you have any favorites on campus?
I really like the Harvey's. For those of you joining internationally, Harvey's is a Canadian fast food chain. But I'm a big. They have these buffalo chicken wraps I really love, and I'm a really big chocolate milkshake guy, and it's the only place I know on campus to find one. So if I'm feeling a little summery, that's one of my first stops. Yeah.
You can't go wrong with a burger and a shake. You know, like I mean, really. The bento sushi on campus for me has the pork ramen. That is my go-to, especially in the winter. It's really good. So whenever I can, I walk over. It's on the other side of campus for me, from where I work. But it's definitely worth it. So I have a question here. It's from Super Cinto, and I think if I remember correctly, Super Cinto is joining us from Italy. Hopefully I got that right. So they asked, is there housing on campus? Is the housing that you mentioned on campus?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes, it is on campus. There's a lot of residence housing buildings. So there's Oscar Pearson Hall, there's Arundel Hall, and then we also have the townhouses. So they just offer different types of rooms, if that makes sense. So if you choose to apply and you go on their website, they'll actually show you the layout. And they'll actually show you like the location. So they're all in close proximity to each other. But yeah, they're on campus. They're close by to the lecture buildings.
Great. Thank you very much. And thanks again for your question. Next up, I want to ask, let me see, I'm going to get this question so I can pull it up here. Here's one. Ooh. Did it pop up? Okay, you know what? I can't see it here, but I remember it. The question was, can I book one-on-one appointments with a recruitment officer? And I think, Connor.
I'll take that question. That seems like a logical one for me to take. The answer is yes. So, we have a couple of different offerings. Right now, the big one that we've got going on our website is what we call our Ask a Recruiter sessions. So at the moment, these are small group-based conversations that we offer on a sort of drop-in basis. Students are welcome to come and join us. I will be there, or one of my colleagues from student recruitment and admissions will be there. You can just pop into a Zoom meeting, ask any questions, and we can have a conversation. If there's something that you need to speak about that's maybe a little bit more personal to your situation, or just requires a little bit more of an in-depth conversation, you're also welcome to use our email form to send us an email, and we will put you in touch with either myself or one of my colleagues, and we can have a private one-on-one meeting as well.
Thanks, Connor. Thank you, Alexandra, for that question. Sorry, I missed it in the stream, but I found it. I ended up finding it. Okay, next up, what do we got here? See, you know what? I wasn't lying. People are actually. Okay. This is, it's a pretty simple one, but I'll ask it in case people miss it in the chat. What programs at UTM require additional applications, so supplementary applications? I know that a lot of programs at U of T have supplementary applications, but at UTM, what are the ones that require something? Connor?
I can take that one. So at the Mississauga campus in particular, the only program which requires an additional step to the application is our theater and drama program. This is going to require you to do an audition. For the rest of our programs, we are just looking at your academics for admission purposes, so no additional supplemental application.
Cool. Thanks, Danny, for your question. Amy, another question here for you. It's about taking classes at other campuses. So I know you can do it. So do you want to talk about just how to take classes at other campuses, or maybe if you want to share an experience about that?
Mm-hmm. So I've actually never in my whole 4 years, I haven't taken any course in any other campuses, but I do have some information on it. So it's the same way you enroll into your courses that are offered in Mississauga's campus is the same way you enroll to the courses that are offered in the other campuses. So it's there at the Acorn website. But it's not that common. So you are free to do that, but it's not as common. Sometimes students just take it because of certain circumstances. Like, for example, I remember my friend, she took biochemistry in the St. George campus because the biochemistry in the Mississauga campus needed organic chemistry as a prerequisite, and she didn't take that. So she was able to kind of take it in the other campus and still fulfill that requirement without taking an extra course. So sometimes it's just based on the certain circumstances. And I will say that if you do decide to take courses in the other campuses, you have to get permission from your department. And there's a limit to the amount of courses that you take in the other campuses as well. I forgot the amount, but yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point to add at the end too, that while you're totally available and you can do it, and that's why one of the reasons the shuttle bus exists that allows you to take a bus that's fare free at the St. George campus at U of T. Not every course is available, and depending on the program that you're in, there are certain courses that you have to take on your home campus, which would be UTM, and then some you could be taking at the St. George or the Scarborough campus. So I feel like I thought you took a course, but whoops, sorry, Amy.
No, it's okay.
Thanks for your question, Eve. Oh, sorry, Connor. Yeah.
I was just gonna tag on to that. I get a lot of questions about that, but from my interactions with actual UTM students, it's not very common that students choose to do it at the end of the day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just we're too great.
I mean, it's a beautiful campus. It's home.
It's hard to be humble about that. Thanks, Eve, for your question. Here's one, Connor. Alexandra asks, can I transfer to U of T from a community college in the US?
That is a very good question. Generally speaking, transferring from another higher education institution is absolutely possible. Sorry, I'm blushing a little bit. I'm reading the comments. Transferring from another institution is possible. American education system is not one that I deal with super often myself personally. I don't know off the top of my head if there are particular restrictions on community college. Unless Michael knows off the top of his head, we can pull up the confirmation. But generally speaking, transferring from another higher education institution is absolutely possible. Depending on what academic level you're at, we could end up assessing you for some transfer credit as well.
Yeah, it's rare. It does happen. I would say with any program, whether you're transferring, you're applying directly from high school, we're looking at prerequisites. And so if you've accomplished those prerequisites before you attended community college, or you've taken those, what we would consider prerequisite courses at the college level, and they're deemed appropriate, then you'd be eligible as a transfer student. And depending on the academic content of the programs you're studying at the colleges, if you get an offer to U of T, then you can apply for transfer credits, even if that's an option. So I would say apply and see what comes up, because every student's application is looked at, and we kind of take care just to make sure that you're doing the right steps. So thanks very much for your question. Let me hop back in. There's a question that's really nice. You got some fans, Connor. Okay. Let's see. There was one that I wanted to really quickly answer. It's just about the shuttle bus specifically, and does it go to the Scarborough campus? I can answer that really quickly. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Because the city of Mississauga is where the Mississauga campus is located, we can offer a shuttle bus from the Mississauga campus through Mississauga and into the St. George campus. But there is public transit, which is fantastic in Toronto, that if you were to take it to the St. George campus, our shuttle bus, you can then take the subway and the bus system called the TTC from the St. George campus to UTSC. I will say it's kind of a journey, doable in theory, but that would be quite a journey to go from Mississauga to the Scarborough campus.
Like Michael said, it's a long journey. I probably wouldn't recommend taking too many of your classes over there if you can avoid it. But, I do recommend checking out the other campuses. The Scarborough campus is beautiful in and of itself. And the other thing I always like to highlight is if you're from abroad and are not familiar with the area, Scarborough is one of the most diverse areas of Toronto as well. So it can be a very fun little day trip to go out there. Lots of great food options out there, and one of my favorite parts of the city, actually.
I also got to represent because I went to U of T Scarborough. I'm an alum from U of T Scarborough. That's where I did my undergrad. So shout out to UTSC. Sorry, UTM. Okay, so here's a question. Does anybody have any recommendation? I mean, it's about housing. Is there any sort of specific recommendations you have about somebody doing an exchange program or wanting to do an exchange program at UTM? Connor, if you want to.
Yeah, sure, I can take that. I mean, it really, and I tell this to any student who's asking, it really depends a lot on your personal preferences and situation. I think we've touched upon this a little bit. University of Toronto has the most diverse offerings in terms of residence styles. If you're thinking about staying on campus, that can be traditional style rooms, which I always like to tell students is more or less what you've seen in movies. And then we also have apartments and the townhouses as well. The townhouses are all in their little community on campus, just around the edges there in the woods. It's a cute little neighborhood to be living in. And that really depends on what you like to get out of your living experience and kind of what's the most comfortable for you. And then, of course, there's lots of housing available in the area around campus as well. Vast majority of our students after their first year choose to live off campus. As Amy already covered, you'll have access to our public transit, which is very reliable. And there is bus stops right on campus, so it's very easy to get there.
I just wanted to add too, I noticed that a lot of students like Oscar Peterson Hall. So Oscar Peterson Hall has rooms where you have a roommate, but your room is to yourself and you're sharing that bathroom in the middle. That building is very popular. If you don't feel comfortable enough, because I know some students are very anxious once they first get into university. If you just want to have your own space, but you still want to have like the community experience, I feel like Oscar Peterson Hall is a good choice for you because you still have your community gatherings, you still have meetings with your dons, but you are able to kind of be in your own space during your first year. And then maybe you can move to sharing rooms with your other roommates, like for example, in Arundel Hall or the townhouses in your upper years as well.
Great. Thanks very much. And thank you, Layla, for your question. Here's one. So does UTM offer co-op? And if it does, can I apply directly into co-op from high school? If I can do so and work in Canada. Connor, did you want to take that question?
Yeah, I can take that one. It's a very good question. As someone mentioned in the comments, we do offer co-op, but only for particular programs. So if we're talking about co-op in the strictest definition of the term, you're looking at students in our computer science, mathematics, and statistics classes. That said, there are experiential learning opportunities, both paid and unpaid, available to students in just about all of our programs. And the real difference tends to be nomenclature a little bit. For example, if you're a business student, we have internship opportunities for you here as well, and lots of opportunities to get that hands-on learning experience in some of our other programs as well. So it really depends on what you're going to be studying and also what you're looking to take away from the experience. So to shorten that answer, co-op, yes, for some programs, but at the end of the day, if you're looking to take what you're learning in the classroom and apply it to the real world and get some of those real world experiences, you're going to find that in just about any of our programs.
wanted to add one thing. When you're applying to UTM, I know a lot of the deadlines have passed now. When you're applying to UTM, you're not going to see co-op on the as an admission category or part of the program structure. I know that at the Scarborough campus, when you're applying to UTSC's programs, you will see co-op listed because you're applying directly into their co-op program. Mississauga does not list that as an option because formal co-op doesn't exist in that same way. But like Connor mentioned, there are a number of opportunities to get involved outside of co-op. I always say that if you don't get into co-op, you can make your own co-op. And we have a lot of resources and services on campus to help students get that experience. I mean, Amy works with us in our office as part of the Work Study program. And you're not in co-op. So this is something that you did for yourself. So thanks very much for your question. Let's scroll down here. Okay, another question about residence. What does the average price of residence cost at UTM? I don't think I have that information in front of me. Oh, you all know.
No.
Oh,
I used to have that information off the top of my head when I was giving presentations.
I'm sitting here going, do I know now? And you're right here. Okay, who wants to go?
I can go.
Amy?
Okay, so I'll give you the range. So the range is from 7K to 13K, I believe. So it just depends on what type of housing you want. So different styles of the housing have different price ranges. So I would say like the single rooms are probably more expensive than the shared rooms. So on average, what would that be? 10K, 9K? Yeah, around there.
Yeah. Canadian dollars too. Yeah, I want to specify.
I always like to remind them too. Yeah, it is Canadian dollars that we're charging. And the fee isn't charged monthly like when you're paying rent. If I recall, it's divided into 2 installments. So you'll be paying it at the same time that you're paying your tuition fees and everything else.
And then one last thing to add about residence, it's not due when you're applying or when you get your offer. There's a process in place. And when you get your offer, you get emails that tell you kind of what that timeline looks like and when everything is due. So you don't have to pay that right away. And your residence guarantee, which the deadline to apply for is March 31st. So it's coming up. If you indicate your interest in living on residence at U of T by March 31st, guaranteed residence at UTM. So thanks very much for your question. Okay, I'm going to see, I think most of the questions here have been answered, but I want to ask Amy, I want to ask you a question that hasn't been asked by anybody in the audience. Mm-hmm. I know that you're a fourth-year student. You're graduating soon, which is very exciting. I know. And I want to ask you if you have either a favorite class or a favorite moment or a favorite experience. I know that you're probably thinking, oh my goodness, there's no way I can answer that. So I would say pick one from your top 10 or something memorable that you wanted to share.
Favorite moments. Okay, I'm going to say when I was in residence in first year, because the girls that I met in residence are literally my best friends 4 years later, which is crazy. Like we're all like in the same group. We've kept, our friendships from 4 years. So I really, really loved my experience at residence. I would say my favorite moment was because they have so much activities every single week, every single day, they have you getting up doing something. And I remember we went to this like cheer off. And it was actually like a movie. Like it was so fun. And they split us up into groups and we all had to make our own cheer for our own communities because you get like a mascot depending on the area that you live in.
Yeah.
And so I was cheering with my friends and they had a whole bunch of decorations flying in the air. Like I felt like I was in a movie. It was so nice. It was so beautiful. I was like, oh my God. And I never forget that moment. I was like, wow. But yeah.
Wow, that's really nice.
I like that you shared that because I always encourage students to participate in those types of events.
Yeah.
I remember in my first year, I thought I was too cool for it, and then going into my upper years, I was working in residence, so I was very closely aligned with all of it, and I was like, man, I feel like I really missed out.
Yeah.
It's such a good way to make friends, and I like that Amy, throughout all of your answers and throughout your whole presentation, constantly talking about all the different places that you made friends and all the different people in your life that are at UTM. And I just really like that you have found a way to really highlight that community aspect of UTM in particular.
Yeah.
Thank you, Connor.
It's a great place. It's get involved. Yeah, don't be too cool. Like, don't be too cool for it.
Literally.
It's definitely worth it, because when you look back, you're gonna want to remember all of these moments, and the more time you spend out there getting involved and making friends and creating these experiences, the more rewarding your university experience is gonna be overall. So, um, so I'm gonna scan the chat one last time. We have a few minutes left before we're supposed to wrap up. So if you have a final burning question, get it in now. Okay, here's one. It's about prerequisites. So what if I don't have the prerequisite courses from high school for specific programs? How do I complete these courses if I'm no longer in high school?
I can take that one. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a very good question. And the answer does depend on a few different factors. But the first thing is you can absolutely apply now. Generally speaking, we have a deadline to complete all of your requirements for your program by June. So in the meantime, if you don't have it quite yet, apply now. And as long as we are able to see that you're working towards finishing everything and that you're on track to finish it by the deadline, you can still be considered for admission. So I always encourage students who are in your boat, Alexandra, apply, let yourself be considered. In terms of how can you complete those prerequisites, it kind of depends on where you're living, what your educational background is. If you're here in Ontario, for example, and you're missing Ontario high school credits, lots of great ways for you to earn Ontario high school credits. The one I always like to highlight is the TiVo ILC, the Independent Learning Center. This is offered in cooperation with the province of Ontario. It allows you to earn Ontario high school credits. It's completely online, but it's going to depend on where in the world you're coming from. If you have any way to contact, if you're in contact with guidance counselors, for example, they're going to be a good resource to help you figure out something that works for you in your situation and in your location as well.
Nice. Very, very complete answer. Thanks, Connor. Very good. I got one last question here. I'm going to throw it up. So Denny asks, are people who works with study/work permits considered international students or not?
Yes, great question. So for our purposes, when we are classifying students, what we would call a domestic student would be someone who is either a Canadian citizen, a Canadian permanent resident, or someone who we refer to as a protected person. So this could be a refugee, for example. Everybody else would be considered an international student for certain purposes. That said, depending on your circumstances, some international students may be eligible to be paying domestic student tuition, for example. But to shorten it, yes, if you're here on a study permit, you'd be considered an international student.
Great. Thanks very much. And quick fire answer, can you stay on residence during vacation? Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Yes, done. Easy. Okay. So I think that's it. Thank you once again for everybody in the chat for asking us your question. They were varied. They were amazing, very detailed. I also want to just take a moment to thank Hiji and Neha for answering the questions while everyone was presenting. But that's the end of the chat. So I'm going to give it over to Connor to wrap things up for us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Michael took the words right out of my mouth. Thank you all very much for joining us today. I know a lot of you, it is the middle of the night, so I hope that you're able to go and get some rest after this. It always puts a smile on my face to be able to reach out and be talking to all these people from all around the globe. And I also want to thank all of you for bringing such a friendly energy to the conversation as well. It's been a pleasure speaking with all of you. I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you again for joining. Thank you to Amy and Michael for your help with the presentation. And of course, thank you to Neha and Hiji for your help hiding behind the scenes in the chat. So we're going to wrap things up there. I'm going to encourage all of you to visit us on our website. You can see it on the screen now. It is utm.utoronto.ca/future. Here you'll be able to keep up to date with all the events that we have going on. Some of these are in person if you're local, others are virtual. The one that I always like to highlight once again are those Ask a Recruiter sessions. You'll be able to sign up on your website, on our website. If you have any questions, if you're looking to have a more in-depth conversation, it's your opportunity to connect with me or with one of my colleagues. And finally, make sure to follow us on social media. We are at UTM Future. This is the great way to both stay up to date with what we have going on, but also see some really interesting snapshots from our current students and what life might be like for you here if you choose to pursue your education here. So I'm going to wrap things up there. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us once again. Have a wonderful evening, and I hope we get to speak with you again soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.